Hello my friends, I thought I would share with you a little observation I made about how society has been draining men of all their power. This is specifically for men, like it says in the title, but if women are watching, I think you're going to find this very valuable. If you have men in your life, if you have fathers, if you have brothers, if you have a boyfriend, then I think you're going to find the information I have here very, very valuable. I'm going to take you over to the whiteboard and we'll get started straight away. So my friends, I'm going to walk you through what I have kind of coined the de-evolution of man, or how society has been draining men of all their power, all their innate power. What I'm going to do is take you through the steps I've kind of noted here. I'm going to go from how society has drained us of our power, the examples, how it manifests itself in the Western man, and in my opinion, how we are going to combat this in order to move forward and not go backwards as the de-evolution of man suggests. So we're going to begin with number one. We need to understand that as men, and to be honest, as human beings, we all have this primordial energy inside of us. On the foundation level, we are driven by two things, and those are our needs to keep the physical organism alive, to keep the body alive. We need to sustain it through food, and to keep the species alive. So copulation, to reproduce, to have sex with other human beings in order to keep our species going. So understand that beyond, your bills and keeping yourself clean and general good hygiene, you are driven fundamentally by your need to keep your body alive, to eat, and to have sex. And those are the two most potent and primal energies inside you as a human being. So let's move over to what the Western man looks like. So we have those innate energies in us. What does this look like in the Western man? So the typical Western man eats 3 meals a day, and then typically high in sugar, carbohydrates, and preservatives. So what I'm trying to do there is make a kind of link between the needs to keep the organism alive through, good, healthy foods, and what the modern man is now living on. And again, you start to see a little bit of disparity in those energies, or how those energies are being used. So I'm very much of the opinion that we've been eating wrong for a very long time, but I'm going to leave that to the end of our conclusion. And what about the need to keep the species alive, our natural sex energy? I don't need to tell you, men and women, how powerful your sex drive is, how powerful that need is to procreate. It's so readily abundant in culture. I mean, there's everybody wants to know who you're dating and what the situation is like with your relationships, who you're interested in. It's the very driver of culture. Even if you look on social media, it's all about creating a ego, a reputation for having status, and whoever has the highest status is the most valuable male or female. So we know that sex energy is very, very powerful, but the modern man is addicted to pornography and masturbation. Again, this is a very taboo subject, but I'm very much am of the opinion that we need to have an open dialogue, because it's very, very important, because the energy is so powerful. So the modern man is addicted to pornography and masturbating too much, jerking off too much. What this means is that our two most primal energies, the need to go and eat, we all know how cranky you get when you're hungry, and the need to procreate, we all know how hot and bothered you get when you're aroused. Those two primal energies are being transmuted and translated, if you will, into fake food and fake sexual partners and experiences. I'm just going to leave that there to kind of sink in for a minute, because when you kind of draw and frame it in this kind of way, it really kind of hits home, because the main thing I want to communicate here is how powerful these energies are. Realize they are so powerful, they're almost unconscious in a way. You don't realize how basic, how foundational these energies are. And they manifest themselves if we keep translating these energies into quite poisonous ideas. So the shitty food and the shitty sexual experiences, or the fake sexual experiences and the fake food, we start to see the symptoms manifest themselves in lack of energy, lack of drive, impotence, low sex drive, diabetes, cardiovascular disease. That's the #1 killer. and general weakness in men. So we're starting to piece together how society is built in such a way that it's beginning to drain us of our very essence as a man. If this second one specifically came to me very recently, this idea of sex energy, but if you can identify a man as having testosterone and a woman of estrogen, your testosterone, your semen, the very essence of what makes you a man is being wasted, if you will, in fake experiences. And my offering, my solution, we'll get on to number 3, I'll kind of wrap this up nicely, is the solution for both of these, how to correctly translate and transmute the energy of these primordial drives, is in fasting. Now, I mean fasting in both ways. In the typical sense, in creating an eating window for food. So, for example, I only eat between 1 and 7 o'clock, and the rest of the time I'm fasting, I'm abstaining from food. And abstinence, semen retention. So you're fasting from your sexual experiences. Fasting simply means that almost delay of gratification. You're expanding the window for where naturally those energies need to kind of manifest themselves into your life in food and in sex. So what we're going to do here, which I believe is the answer, and what I'm going to do is kind of wrap this up in a general kind of idea of gratification, immediate gratification. Both of these things, the need to eat and the need to fuck, as you were, excuse my French, both of these primal urges are immediately being met. If we can, again, I'm kind of going to bring you back to the idea of ancestors, the hunter-gatherer ancestors. The only presence you're alive is because of your ancestors' ability to go for long periods of time without eating. And, well, we don't know if they were having sex all the time, but they certainly weren't sitting in front of a computer screen with an abundance of selection in categories, in all different sizes and shapes. I'm not going to go too into the detail, but I'm sure, my friend, you are aware of what I'm speaking about. So the solution, my friends, I'm going to end on this, is fasting. Abstinence from these kind of things is going to build up a kind of build up the amount of sensitivity we have to dopamine, because that's essentially what's happening. When these two effects that have on our brain are very, very powerful in the dopamine receptors, and I think we've gotten greedy. I think Western culture has shown us we're very greedy, and because these things are so readily available in our society, there's always food, and there's always going to be an abundance of sexual material online that we can pleasure ourselves to. And that's what it is. Too much pleasuring, and not enough time spent between those moments in order for us to kind of recalibrate and come to a state of hormesis. We're constantly spiking our dopamine to sex and food, and I'm trying to bring us down to a kind of level. So if you are the type of person, if you are a man, or again, this can apply to women as well, maybe you can start to draw some conclusions, but women, if you have men in your life, brothers and father figures, boyfriends, whatever the case may be, if you're experiencing low mood, depression, anxiety, and a general inability to kind of keep your mood and equilibrium at a balance, at a homeostasis, I'm very much of the opinion that this is the reason why. You're eating too much food, too much poor quality food, too frequently, and you're jerking off all the time. Please let me know in the comment sections below if that is something you found valuable, if you can kind of resonate with that, if you can see how my observation might coincide with yours, and generally what you think. If you enjoyed the information here, like the video, subscribe to the channel for more, because I like doing these really in-depth insights on current cultural topics, and I'd love for you to be part of the dialogue. And with that, subscribe, and I'll see you again, my friends.